Welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package for today. I am your presenter, Alian Christopher. First up, after two meetings post-Hurricane Maria, an executive meeting and a special general meeting for its members, the Dominica Fencing Association has planned for the year ahead with regards to plotting the way forward post-Hurricane Maria. Some of the plans laid down were training camps, local, regional and international tournaments, as well as training for coaches. One of the major events on the cards for the Dominica Fencing Association is its participation in the Central American and Caribbean Games in Colombia in July and August 2018. Prior to that will be the Pan American Junior and Cadet Championships this March 2018 in Costa Rica and the Pan American Senior Championship, which will be held in Cuba in June. The Dominica Fencing Association has been a member of the International Fencing Federation since December 2010 and a member of the Olympic Committee since October 2013. Although not one of the traditional sports locally, fencing has made quite a bit of headway since the start of its activities in August 2014 with a summer camp which was hosted by Ecuadorian coach Alejandro Mong. And the Events and Festivals Manager of the Dominica Festival Committee, Val Coffey, has sought to defend a decision taken by the Dominica Festival Committee to host the 2018 Carnival celebrations. Since the passing of Hurricane Maria, many have seemed to publicly denounce the call of the DFC to proceed with Mass Dominic 2018, stating that funds projected towards this year's carnival could be used for other activities as it relates to the rebuilding of Dominica. Coffey explained that carnival is a traditional feast that goes way back into Dominica's history.
The carnival is a traditional feast, a traditional celebration that goes way back into our history in terms of our religious convictions. There are those of us who believe in carnival, and we have the right as a nation to give people the opportunity to celebrate their traditions. As I said, those of you who don't believe in carnival, we respect that. We ask you to just use that period of time to look at your neighbor, look at your friend, and see how you can help generate some more love, some more concern, help them rebuild, look at a road, look at a fence, and do something positive. But those that are celebrating, we ask them as well, when you're through celebrating, don't overdo it. Don't overspend, because we do not have the resources as a nation to just throw out there. We're asking you to celebrate, yes, because it's a traditional feast, a traditional celebration, but at the end of it, when Ash Wednesday comes, not only just go for your ashes, but remember the ashes that Maria left. We have to still clean it up and to make Dominica great again, according to my favorite president.
The Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal, Robert Tong, also added to the reason for hosting Mass Dominic 2018.
With regards to add to why having carnival, in addition to it being part of our cultural identity, and we also need to release. A lot of people need to release some form of stress. You need to have that camaraderie where your family and friends can come back and give you that moral support. But in addition to that, carnival and these type of events provides a lot of economic activity, especially to our hotels. And after the storm, many of them have been impacted. They did not get the revenue that they would have loved to have gotten after for the Queer Music Festival. Then you have Carnival, which is another big area. So just imagine how much impact it'll have on their bottom lines, and also the impact it'll have on them being able to keep staff in the hotels. At some point, if you can't pay your salaries, then you're going to have to release staff. So there has to be economic activity, not only for the hotels, the restaurants, the taxi drivers, the tour guides, the persons who sell items along the road. And based on the studies that were done, whenever we have these activities, whatever we spend, you get a multiplication effect in the economy between 7 to 9 times that amount. So it's important for that aspect.
And also in the news, Davidson Victor, better known as Observer, says that the Stardom tent was successful in carrying out the show last night at the Strip and is happy to report that the turnout was better than expected despite the rainfall. The Public Relations Officer of the Stardom Tent and the Dominica Calypso Association says that one must remember that Hurricane Maria had affected most of the activities for the carnival season, and that includes Calypso as well.
given the level of devastation that we suffered on the Maria, it was at the time was looking almost impossible that there would even have been a Calypso season, much less to have a Stardom tent. And the venue that we had the Stardom tent last night, it was compromised severely. It got a severe beating, and a lot of work was done to bring it up to the standard it was last night. And anybody that was there last night would have a sense of appreciation of the amount of work that was done to bring it to where it was. So that is number one. Number two, the fact that we were able to even have well over 25 Calypsonians prepared and practice with the band to come and step on stage and give the performance that they gave last night. That in itself was another reason for the success. Third one is that the patrons came out notwithstanding the level of rain and bad weather that we have had for the past few days.
Victor revealed that there were a few shortcomings, but that is very likely since the Stardom tent is still working on better establishing and implementing its policies with the help of the Calypsonians. That, he says, can be a difficult task at times. However, Observer declared that the coordinator's role is crucial in ensuring that the show is successful.
The coordinator's role is mainly to ensure that there is a smooth sailing between the Calypsonian, the time they have to come on stage, the MCs and the band. So you have the MC coordinating, discussing with the coordinators as to whether the Calypsonian that they want to perform, that ready to perform now, is ready. Whether the performer is, and the coordinator has to ensure that the performer is ready in terms of the dress, their mental state is in order, and they're ready to go. So this is mainly the coordinator's role. The coordinator's role is also to ensure that the Calypsonians who are supposed to perform, when they are backstage, they are given their space. So people don't just come and invade their space, because Calypsonian, before we go on stage, we tend to take our little space for ourselves.
Victor stated that the coordinators, known as Hexie and Dangleman, have been working diligently to ensure that the tents continue to be a successful one. And stay tuned, there's more news coming up your way right after this break. And welcome back. And still with Calypso. Calypsonian Shader shocked most when he appeared on stage last night at the Stardom tent. Shader, who is a quarter-finalist at the Calypso show, was among a few others not listed as Calypsonians to perform at the Stardom tent. While on stage, he made these remarks.
You actually tell me I'm not singing tonight. You satisfied with that? You actually say I'm singing tonight. Thanks, man, for the PRO. Observer.
According to the PRO, Davidson Victor, the coordinators Hexie and Dangleman are the ones responsible for deciding who participates at the Stardom tent. However, he had given Shader his word that he would be performing at the Stardom tent.
And he's a quarter-finalist. And I spoke with him the last time he practiced at the band house. He asked me if he can get a chance to perform at the Stardom tent. I told him yes. Now, I'm the type of person, when I give you my word, I like to stand by my word. So as a new Calypsonian, he's like a fish out of water. I am the public relation officer of the Calypso Association. I gave him my word. I tell him, okay, I'll work out something for you to do a performance. However, he's not a member of Stardom tent. So he was not on the schedule list. All right, so because I thought that he would have been on the schedule list, but I didn't see the list before. So when I came and he was not on the list, then he came back to me again and he told me, well, he checked Hexie. No, he came to me, so I told him, well, check Hexie to see if he's on the list. So when he checked, he was not on the official list. So then obviously Hexie, as the coordinator, would always have to tell him that he is not singing because he's not on the schedule list. So he came back to me and told me, well, Hexie tell him that he's not singing because he's not on the list. I say, wow, oh, okay. So I say probably, well, it's me that did not mention to Hexie. I don't know if I did or if I did not, but I can't recall probably. So I say if I probably mentioned it to Hexie at the time and Dangleman when they were putting lists together, probably they would have put him on the official list. But I say since I gave him my word and I told him I'll work out something for him, and he's not a seasonal Calypsonian, he's a new Calypsonian, and he's have a quarterfinals coming up, I didn't want to disappoint him. So I talked to Hexie and I talked to Dangleman, and we find a way that we could fit him in the early part of the show.
Victor went on to say that it was unfortunate that the Calypsonian Shader made that comment since the coordinator's approval is needed for him to perform.
It was a little unfortunate that Shader went, and I felt for Hexie because I can tell you on air, Hexie is working diligently hard to get things to work. He's a guy, to me, he put his everything in Calypso. So when I didn't even know about that, we have a Stardom chat with all the members on it. So it's this morning when Hexie typed about it, that's when I found out that Shader went on stage and said that. But Shader, speaking from a background of not knowing not knowing the process is involved, because initially when I sent him to Hexie, he was not on the list, so it is obvious that Hexie would have told him he's not performing, because Hexie can only inform a person who is performing that he's on the list that he has. But Shader is not aware of the discussion that took place after, between myself, Dangleman, and Hexie, who all three of us allowed him to perform. So it was kind of unfortunate that he had to go and say that. But again, it shows the inexperience of him not knowing how the business works.
Victor laments that this situation shows that Shader is inexperienced. He says this means Shader needs a better understanding of how the business of Calypso works. And also in the news, President of the Concerned Citizens Movement, Loftus Dura, during a recent interview with CBN4, has stated that many Dominicans have seen the DLP government demonstrated towards making bribery and cheating legal. Dura was responding to a press release by the Concerned Citizens Movement in which a letter was written to the chairman of the Electoral Commission about a paralysis that exists in the Electoral Commission in regards to electoral reform.
We saw this DLP government demonstrated that they want to make bribery and cheating legal. And my friend, if something has been illegal for years, all prime ministers came there, they didn't touch it. Why the need now? Why? What of what necessities now for this DLP regime to touch it and make bribery and treating illegal. So we smell a rat, and that is why we are taking it up upon ourselves now as patriots of our country to do the right thing as it pertains to our electoral process in Dominica. And that is the only way we will maintain a democratic country as Dominica is today. So we want to safeguard that.
Duran further demonstrated and explained from the two pieces of amendments he says the government of Dominica was proposing to amend the laws of Dominica.
More critical one for us here is the House of Assembly's Elections Act, where in this act, that document is where the government was proposing and is still proposing to change our laws that are legal on our books right about now in the name of treating and bribery to make them legal. And so when we speak, we are not just speaking out of our head, but we have the documents to show, and it is as a result of our efforts going around educating the people as to the seriousness of amending this piece of legislation for the own government's personal gain, as it were, to stay in power. Then we had to basically agitate against that, and the government basically shelf their ambitions. But from what I'm hearing, they are still intent of going to the parliament to try and enact these laws. So that is why we at the movement will do our best, do what we have to do to bring that awareness about, so that will never be passed in our parliament, and so our democracy can be maintained in Dominica.
And Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Enterprise and Small Business, Esther Thomas, has warned that persons with small businesses who wish to apply for assistance under the newly launched emergency grant program must meet the requirements before filling out the application form. One of the requirements Thomas noted is that your business must have suffered loss or affected by Hurricane Maria.
Clearly understood that you must meet the requirements before you can fill the application, and the requirements are quite clear, and we have made many copies which we will circulate, and we have given copies to the press who are here. And one of the requirements is that your business must have suffered loss or has been affected by Hurricane Maria. And how we verify that, we have been going around the country soliciting micro and small businesses to do an assessment of their damage. And we have these forms available in the ministry, so it will be an evidence-based document that will reaffirm to us that once you have filled out this form and you're saying, yes, you have suffered damage from Hurricane Maria, we can go into our database and find you. And that form will, if you're not in that database of persons who have registered with us to say that they were damaged, then it means that one of the requirements is not fulfilled, because you need to fill out this survey form that clearly articulates that you have suffered loss or damage from Hurricane Maria.
Thomas went on to say that photographic details are also welcome to indicate that a business has truly suffered damages from Hurricane Maria.
Of course, we welcome, if many people might say, oh, they don't remember, but I'm sure in the age of technology, many people took out photographs. So if they can produce evidence of photographs of the damage sustained, that is also evidence that we will utilize to support the fact that they were damaged through hurricane.
Another requirement that is needed before a person can proceed to fill out the applications: businesses must be registered with the Company and Intellectual Property Office.
has a special office that is dedicated to ensuring that persons who have business register with the state. And as we say to the micro and small business, it only takes $90 to register the business. And it also helps us too. When they are registered business, we will have a clear database of all our micro and small businesses. So the requirements that are being asked of our micro and small business is nothing tenuous. It's also facilitating them and us, because we will be able to identify where they are as quickly as possible in our database when we have the information, and they too will begin to recognize how serious they need to take their business. Because if you register business with the state and you say you have a small business, you're certainly not going to conduct business anyhow. It will change your mindset to doing things, because the question they will ask you at the company and intellectual office will make you recognize, boy, I really needed to do that, or I need to do something differently. And this is what we want to encourage our micro and small businesses, and we will avail ourselves to encourage them to do those necessary things so that they can comply with the requirements.
Thomas mentioned that small business owners must also employ between 1 to 20 persons. She also stated that the business should also have been operational during the time of Hurricane Maria on September 18th. And that takes us to the end of today's Primetime News package. On behalf of the entire CBN4 team, I am Arlen Christopher saying thank you for watching, and do join us again next time.